video tutorial for the Happy Days Nancy Craft storage bags. A lovely knitting bag which is fully lined, has a pocket on the front for patterns, a bag for your knitting needles and a bag for your crocheting hooks. And here's how you make it. And this is what you'll need: fabric for the outer, fabric for the lining, fabric for pockets, some ribbon and a cam snap. We'll start by making the strap. Place your strap fabric right sides down so you're looking at the back of your fabric. Fold one end over 1 centimetre and press. Then fold your fabric in half and press, open up, and then place this edge on the middle crease you've just made, and then the same for that side, and then fold it all over and press. And then we're going to take it to the sewing machine and we're going to top stitch all along there, across the bottom and back up the top. It's a good idea to pop a few clips in before you top stitch it. I've top stitched along the long length across the bottom and all up the other side. I've left this open because this will be tucked away. And now we're going to put this to one side. Now we're working on the pocket. Place your pocket fabric right sides down so you're looking at the wrong side of the fabric. Fold over the top 1 centimetre and press. Fold over another 2 centimetres and press, and then pin. I've pinned it, and now I'm going to take it over to the sewing machine and I'm going to sew all along there, forming a nice hem. I've sewn all along there and that makes a nice hem. I'm going to turn it over and that'll be the front of your pocket. And now I'm going to fold it in half to determine where the centre is and lightly crease it. And I'm going to place it on the front of the bag. Place your pocket on one of your outer pieces of fabric, line up the edges and clip into place. I've clipped it and now I'm going to take it to the sewing machine and I'm going to sew all along that crease we made to form the 2 pockets. I've sewn a line down the centre and I've removed the clips. And now we've got to take the other outer piece and place it on top. Place your remaining outer piece of fabric right sides together on top and line up the bottom and the side edges and then clip into place. Now I've clipped it, I'm going to take it to the sewing machine and I'm going to start at the top and using 1/4 inch seam allowance, sew all the way down to the bottom and stop. Along the bottom edge and stop. Start again there and right up to the top and stop. I'm not sewing the box corners. Once you've sewn all the way around, we've got to box the corners, and we box the corners by opening up and pinching together and ensuring that this seam and the bottom seam line up, and then placing a clip in it. And once we've placed a couple of clips in, we're going to take it to the sewing machine and we're going to sew all along there. Once you've clipped both box corners, you're going to take it over the sewing machine and use 1/4 inch seam allowance, sew all along there. And do the same for the other side. Once you've boxed the corners, turn the bag the right way round as I've done. Turn your bag over and then fold it in half and lightly crease and open up. And then on that crease line, take your handle that you made earlier and place it in the centre of that crease line, and make sure that the raw edge of your handle and the raw edge of your bag line up. And once you're happy where it is, clip it into place, and then I'm going to take it over the sewing machine and just run a few tack stitches across there just to hold it in place. I've tacked the handle into place, and I'm going to put this to one side while we work on the lining. Place your lining fabrics right sides together, line up all the edges and clip all the way around, but remember to leave a gap at the bottom for turning. Now I'm going to take it to the sewing machine. I'm going to start there and using 1/4 inch seam allowance, sew all the way down there and stop. Start again there and stop and leave a gap for turning. Start there and stop. Start there and stop. Once you've sewn all the way around and remembering to leave a gap at the bottom, it's time to do the box corners. And as we did before with the outer bag, place your fingers inside, line up the seams and pop a clip in. And then we're going to take it over the sewing machine as we did before and sew along there, and do the same for the other side. I've boxed both corners, and now we're going to put the bag all together. We'll start by leaving this lining turned the wrong way and then get the outer that we made earlier. Here's the outer that I made earlier, and it's got the strap attached to the back and it's turned the right way. Now we've got to put this inside the lining. I place the outer inside the lining, right sides together. I've lined up the top edges and I've clipped into place, and I've made sure that the handle is inside. And now I'm going to take it to the sewing machine and I'm going to use 1/4 inch seam allowance. I'm going to sew all the way around, joining the lining to the outer. I've joined the lining to the outer by sewing all the way around, and now all that's left is to turn it the right way round by pulling it through the gap at the bottom. Once you've pulled it through the right way, fold in the raw edges of the gap and either hand stitch or sew along there the gap with your sewing machine. I've sewn up the gap in the lining and I've tucked it inside, and now I've pressed it, and now I need to top stitch all the way around the top. You might want to use your fancy stitches at this stage. I've top stitched all the way around. I've added a cam snap, and that's your Nancy craft bag all finished. This is the video tutorial for the knitting needle bag and the crochet hook bag. Both instructions are exactly the same. And this is how you make it. Place your fabric wrong sides upwards and make sure that the fabric is going the right way if you're using directional fabric. This is the top of your bag. folding the sides 1 centimetre and then fold the top another centimetre and fold again 2 centimetres and press, and then place some pins along there. I've pinned into place, and because we folded the sides in, when we sew it up properly you'll see there's no raw edges then for where we pull the ribbon out. Now take it out of the sewing machine and sew along here. I've sewn all along there, and this has formed the channeling now for the ribbon. And what I've also done is stitched backwards and forwards there to give a little bit extra strength, especially where the ribbon is pulled. And I've done the same for this end. Now turn it over and fold in half, right sides together, line up the bottom edges and the sides and the top, and then clip all the way down there. I've clipped it, and now I'm going to take it to the sewing machine, and I'm going to start there just below the channeling, and I'm going to sew all along there and stop. I've sewn all along there, and as you can see I've also zigzagged the raw edges. I've backstitched a few times again there, again to give the bag a little bit more strength. And once you've done that, open it out like that, so that seam is in the middle. And then press it and clip along the bottom. Now I've clipped it, I'm going to take it to the sewing machine and I'm going to sew all along the bottom. And as I did before, I'm going to zigzag the raw edges. Before you turn it the right way round, pop your ribbon through your channeling. I've used a safety pin, it's much easier to do it that way. And that's your knitting needle bag all finished. If you're making the crochet hook bag, the instructions are exactly the same.